Hi, welcome back. My name is Ari. Today I got this gigantic ass monster box. This is the Once Upon a Book Club's monthly, but this is the Advent calendar. So, what this is you get a book. This is the 12 Days of Book Clubmas, and this is 12 short stories. How Once Upon a Book Club normally works is you get a book, not usually short stories, and as you read the book, you find things in here that correspond with specific pages, and you open your thing as you get to that page. This one kind of does that, but not entirely. You get little places in the story, I don't know if you can see this or not, where it tells you to like open for day one. So you get one short story a day, and you get the things. And they're different sizes. This is stuck to something else, of course, but different sizes, different kind of swag. So this is day 6. Day 12. Day 4 is a book. I can feel it. It's a hardback. So what I am going to do in this video is I am going to read each short story and then open the box on camera, or open the present on camera, so you guys can see what all of this stuff is. I will tell you what's going on in the story when I get to that point, so there will be spoilers throughout this, and you'll get to see what's in this Advent box and see if it's worth it, how cool it is, all that fun stuff. So stay tuned and watch along with me. Alright, day 1. This is not very far in, but we're starting off with like a sad story, which I thought this was supposed to be Christmas while you're reading sad things. This woman named Jillian is 50. It's her 50th birthday, and her husband had died of cancer about 2 years previous, and she is having a very, very hard time with the grieving process of this. His mother and her daughters, or their daughters, planned her a trip to France. She arrived on her 50th birthday, and there was a box on the bed of a birthday gift from her husband, and it had a letter written by him in it that said, Happy birthday, babe. I hope you like, no love, your surprise. I hope Mom and Chloe were able to convince you to go. I know how much you like to be in control, so having someone else schedule this must have hurt. I know how much you wanted to take this trip, and I ruined it by getting sick. I've given you a 2-year window to grieve, but now it's time that you begin to build a new you for the next phase of your life. Have a great time and try not to work so hard that you forget to enjoy the little pleasures. All my love, Scott. And then the highlighted part right here said she opened the box and found the newest book by her favorite author, which is when we're supposed to open this one. But it 100% tells me that this is a book. I can kind of feel that it's a book. But let's see which book this is. Where? This way? Song of a Captive Bird by Jasmine Darznik? I've never heard of this. All through her childhood in Tehran, I can't say that. It is told that Iranian daughters should be quiet and modest. She is taught only to obey, but she always finds ways to rebel, gossiping with her sisters among the fragrant roses of her mother's walled garden, venturing to the forbidden rooftops to roughhouse with her 3 brothers, writing poems to impress her strict, disapproving father, and sneaking out to flirt with a teenage paramour over at Cafe Glass. During the summer of 1950, Feroz, probably saying her name wrong, passions for poetry takes flight. Tradition seeks to clip her wings. Forced into a suffocating marriage, Fro runs and falls into an affair that fuels her desire to write and to achieve freedom and independence. Fro's poems are considered both scandalous and brilliant. She is heralded by some as a national treasure, vilified by others as a demon influenced by the West. She perseveres, finding love with a notorious filmmaker and living by her own rules at enormous cost, but the power of her writing only grows stronger amid the upheaval of the Iranian Revolution. and this is inspired by like a real person. It's inspired by her Faro's, when I'm not going to say her last name, verse, letter, films, and interviews, and including original translations of her poems. This haunting novel uses the lens of fiction to capture the tenacity, spirit, and conflicting desires of a brave woman who represents the birth of feminism in Iran and who continues to inspire generations of women around the world. That sounds awesome. So we've got that. I think there's something else in here too. There's also a little notebook in here, and it's just a oh, that's kind of cute. It's like it's got like a little note from her daughter in here. It's, "Mom, just to let you know, I took your beige sweater out of your suitcase." "Really, Mom? Beige? I thought you were going to France, not the library." And then it's just from the character in the short story, a note from her daughter. That's really, really cute. But this is nice. It also has a bookmark. Busy like a bee, frolic like a butterfly, busy like a bee, frolic like a butterfly, sing like a cricket, mama bug, fly free. So that's an awesome little collection of stuff for day one. I'll be back in the next clip for what we get in day two. Day two of the 12 days of Book Clubmas. I'm going to tell you straight off, none of these stories are Christmas stories. The day two story, which is called Ways Without End by, I'm going to say, T.M. Sigel. The cursive is very hard to read. This is a portal fantasy, and the object, or there's an object in this book, it's a knit cap that allows this guy to find portals to other worlds and then travel through it. It's a magical thing. So I'm gonna guess that this is a hat. So we've got the bag, and the quote in the story says, as she sat up in bed, she noticed a small package on her night table. Reaching over, she picked it up. It was a scrap of rough canvas cloth tied around a soft object with tweed string. Eagerly she tore it open. It smiled at what she found. So it's a hat. Oh, it's a pretty hat. It's a pretty yellow hat. Oh, it's really fuzzy on the inside. And it says, focus, books are life, which is true. Also in with the hat, we have this piece of paper, which is a letter to Amelie, which is the character in the book. So continuing with the end of the story, it says, it was the hat, the magic hat from Martin's story, which she had not seen again since that night. Folded up inside were 3 pieces of Martin's precious paper, covered over in a neat hand she recognized right away, although the letter was not signed. And then it has the same letter in here, over here is this, even though this is definitely not 3 pieces of paper. And it's just a letter to him, and then there you go. So we got the magic hat that lets you travel to other worlds, the canvas bag, which is not a canvas bag at all, and then the 3 pieces of paper, which is really just 1 piece of paper. But yeah, that's really cool. I like how, like, extremely personalized the presents are with what's happening in the story. That's really cool, because yesterday I don't think I had like finished the story and got through all of the stuff, but yesterday it was a book with a bird on the cover, and then the book we got was something the birds, it had birds in the title, and then it said underneath the book was a another book with a bird on the cover, but this one was a notebook, and then you had the notebook, and then inscribed in the notebook was a letter from her daughter, and you had that written, and then also in the notebook was a bookmark, which I'm using as the actual bookmark, and that bookmark was designed and decorated by her other daughter with the exact same quote in the book as that's actually on this bookmark. So far, the 2 days we've gotten like really specific gifts, and I think it's just really, really awesome. The two stories themselves that I've got are not particularly like the best stories in the world, but they're not bad. And they're short stories. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just not the most exciting story in the world. But I'll be back tomorrow for day 3. Alright, day 3. So this story is about a foster teenager in a school play. She just enrolled in a new school because her I don't know if she's moved from another foster house or if her no, I guess she probably moved from another foster house because her mother I think is mentally unwell, and then she lived with her grandmother until 2 years prior, where her grandmother died of diabetic complications, and then she just started school, so I'm assuming this is like a down the line foster home. And because it's the middle of the school year, she was stuck in a random elective class. The only one open was theater, so she's taking part in the school play for the year, which is West Side Story, and she plays Maria. So there's that. This story is kind of cool because it comes with a Spotify playlist, and then it tells you which song from the Spotify playlist to listen to while you're reading that particular part of the story. I opted to not listen to the Spotify playlist. It's just not my thing, but it's a cool idea. It's a cool concept. Most of the songs I recognize, they're older songs, so I recognize the songs and I can kind of hum them in my head if I wanted to. But it's very hard for me to listen to music and read at the same time because the words from the music get confused with the words on the page. But this, I believe from context clues in my story, is going to be a pillowcase, which I'm not super excited about because I've got way too many pillowcases to begin with and not enough pillows. But she has had her feelings hurt by another girl at school and went home crying and grabbed the pillow that her grandmother made her, and that's when it tells you to open this, which is why I think this is a pillowcase. And it says, "Shh, I'm reading." I mean, at least it's a valid quote on the pillowcase. I appreciate it, but yeah, it's 100% a pillowcase. You got the zipper, you can stick your pillow inside, and then you've got a I'm reading pillowcase. So, my aesthetic, at least in a pillowcase. But yeah, not the most exciting thing so far, but I didn't expect to like absolutely be in love with all 12 days. I almost said 25 days and I was like, no, that's not right. But yeah, meh, but not awful. Catch you in the next clip. Wow, my hair looks scary. Day 4, we've got a story about books. There are 2 girls who are the main characters of a book that no one ever reads. And they live in a bookstore and they repeat their story every single day. And it's a story about friendship. And eventually they get kind of bored with the same repetitive life every single day. So they decide to adventure out of their book and jump into other people's books. And they kind of like jump through a series of books. It's only 3. But first they jump into The Great Gatsby, and then they get very sad because of the ending of Gatsby. And then they jump into the Hunger Games, which I can imagine is probably pretty scary. They jump into the Hunger Games about the time that Katniss kills the career tributes with the Tracker Jackers. And then they run away from that story and end up in Beauty and the Beast, where they meet Belle. And Belle is very encouraging, and she's like, I love stories, I've read all these stories. And then she kind of talks to this girl, because the girls have had a fight by then, because one character wants to continue on going through books, and then the other character just wants to go back home. And then they have a fight about how friendship doesn't mean enough to the one character who wants to keep going on. She's looking for something else when she already has like the best friendship in the universe, because that's what their book is about. And Belle kind of encourages the one girl, because the friend goes back to their book, and then the main character girl ends up in Beauty and the Beast. And Belle like encourages her to find joy in her own life, or not leave her own life, to find something new, that to find, or even if she's trying to find something new, don't leave your past or your happiness, your current happiness behind to find something new. Take your current happiness with her. And she, of course, being Belle, gives her a book from the gigantic library in the castle. So let's see which book we've got. We have got The Dream Daughter by Diane Chamberlain, which I have not heard of. What is this about? When Carly Sears, a young woman widowed by the Vietnam War, receives the news that her unborn baby girl has a heart defect, she is devastated. It is 1970, and she is told that nothing can be done to help her child. But her brother-in-law, a physicist with a mysterious past, tells her that perhaps there's a way to save her baby. What he suggests is something that will shatter every preconceived notion Carly has, something that will require a kind of strength and courage she never knew existed, something that will require an unimaginable leap of faith on Carly's part, and all for the love of her unborn child. The Dream Daughter is a rich, genre-spanning, breathtaking novel about one mother's quest to save her child, unite her family, and believe in the unbelievable. Diane Chamberlain pushes the boundaries of faith and science to deliver the novel that you will never forget. Is this the one about the lady who travels to the future where medical science is good enough? I don't know. That sounds right. There you go. Not usually my cup of tea, but it sounds interesting. Maybe it's really good. But yeah, this book itself is not referenced at all in the story, unlike day one or like day two, where it was very clearly, this is just a very generic book kind of gift day. Day 5, that story was called Lumi Blanche, I think is her last name, and by Tia Aran, and this was about a young girl whose mother fell in love with death, and so she is the daughter of death, but she doesn't know that. She has been trapped her entire life inside of the castle where her mother uses her powers to suppress her daughter's powers, and she doesn't know why she's different, why she doesn't have her mother's powers, why her mother's magic harms her if she touches it, and one day she flees the castle because she's fallen in love with her prince. And her mother chases after her because she's got death magic and wants to make sure her daughter doesn't kill anybody, and then she ends up she gets attacked by a beast, and then her mother saves her from the attack on the beast but dies in the process. And then that's when she meets her father and finds out that she's the daughter of death, blah 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 blah. Upon returning to the castle, now that her mother is gone, the maid, I guess, housekeeper, has a package for her that her mother said, give this to my daughter if I ever die. And I assume that's what that is. Apparently there's a note in here that keeps falling out. But so day 5, we've got a jade roller, which is just it's a makeup thing, or not a makeup, it's a skincare thing. It's you roll it on your face and it helps drain, like, it helps with lymphatic draining, and then you can just use it to apply your skincare, or the small one underneath you can do like underneath your eyes, and it's cooling, so it helps with swelling a little bit, but it also helps drain the lymph nodes in your face. It also comes with a little note that says, I may not be able to wipe your tears, but this has always helped me with mine. I can't read. It's so tiny. Like, I can't read that. It's way too tiny. But it's in the book, too, so I'll read it from the book. I may not be able to wipe your tears, but this has always helped me with mine. Listen to Cecilia now. She knows more of magic than even I. I love you, Lumi Blanche, my Snow White. So, that's what it is. I have a different lymph roller, but I've never had a jade roller. Oh, and I guess if you believe in the healing powers of crystals or whatever, jade is supposed to have one of those. That's not my thing, but for some people it is. I'm not saying anything either way. But yeah, day 5. Very cool. So far, like 5 days, and everything in here has been like super high quality, like nice substantial gifts. Nothing cheap, nothing that like makes this not seem worth the cost that I paid for this box. So far so good. See you for day 6. Day 6's book is called Before It Snows by Jenny Smith, and I'm not entirely sure what to make of this story. If you hear weird noises in the background, my sister's playing video games. But it's about 2 sisters, and one of them wants to go into town to go to the library before it snows, and asks her other sister to drive her, and her other sister won't drive her, but she wants to walk with her. And sister 1, Mac, the one who wants to go to the library, borrows her sister's coat without asking. Not entirely sure why this is important, but it seems to be important to the plot. Then they walk into town and Mac goes to the library and Kara goes to the antique store because she collects antiques. And she wants to buy a mirror, but apparently they already have 6 mirrors, and then ends up buying a board. And then they walk home, see a mailbox that's been hit by a car, and find a goat. And Mac's apparently afraid of animals, including goats, but they need to get the goat to their neighbor's house, because that's who the goat belongs to. And taking the goat to the neighbor's house, they learned that Kara wouldn't drive Mac to town because she had hit the mailbox earlier, like earlier that week, that month, I don't know, earlier sometime. Hasn't told her parents, and it's the goat lady's mailbox, and she's been helping out, caring for the goats as a way to repay for the damages to the mailbox. And the goat eats a button off of the coat that Mac borrowed from Kara, but Mac didn't tell Kara she borrowed the coat. It's a really weird story. The goat also eats something off of like a roller bag. I think this is a roller bag from the story. It just said she ties a ribbon to the roller bag and then hands it back to her sister. So I don't think this is a ribbon. I think it's a roller bag. But like I said, I am not entirely sure what the F was going on in that story. We have an envelope thing. And we're gonna unzip this and open it up. So it is a tote bag on wheels that zips into itself, but you could also put stuff in this pocket. I don't know. Demonstration time. It's a tote bag on wheels. That's kind of cool. Not what I expected at all, honestly. I would have to say that I would have never guessed that. I thought it was some sort of notebook, but this is way cooler than a notebook. So, there you go. Tote bag on wheels. This is the coolest tote bag I've ever gotten. All right, day 7. I can tell you that this is a book and it's a paperback because I can feel that it's floppy. So this is the first paperback. The 2 books that I've gotten so far are both hardbacks, and day 7 and I believe day 10 are both paperback books. I don't think anything else is books. So 4 books, awesome. Day 7 is Share Your Joy by Abi Steer. I think it's A-B-I, but the font on the author's names is awful to read. This is about a woman named Farah who is in the hospital after injuring her legs due to osteoporosis, and her roommate, the person in the bed next to her, is a woman named Emily who collects people's stories in a journal without really sharing anything about herself, and she's just kind of endlessly friendly, I guess is the way to put it. But Emily, or Farah, is giving a talk about a book that she's just published, which seems to be the contents of Emily's journals, that she passed away in the hospital, left the book, or left the journals to Farah, and then Farah turned those journals into a book. I don't know if this is supposed to be a book about other people's stories or if that's just a convenient plot point in the story. So let's see what's in this package. So we've got, it has a post-it note on it, which says Share Your Joy. And this is Little Big Love by Katie Reagan. This is kind of fun because the notebook in the story had a note that said Share Your Joy on it. Liam Jones was the love of Juliet's life. He was her brother's best friend, then her best friend, then the father of her little boy. In those shining weeks after their son was born, she had never been happier, and neither had Liam. And then one night, Liam disappeared without a trace. 10-year-old Zach Hutchinson collects facts. Octopuses have 3 hearts. Usain Bolt is the fastest man on Earth, but no one will tell him what happened to his father and where he went. When Juliet inadvertently admits that his father is the only man she's ever loved, Zach decides he's going to find him and deliver his mom the happily ever after she deserves. But Liam left for a reason, and Zach searches for clues about his father. Juliet begins to rebuild what shattered so many years ago. An unforgettable, heart-stopping story of the secrets we keep and of love in all its many forms. This doesn't sound like a book for me, honestly. I don't like contemporary romances. I don't usually care for contemporaries to begin with, and I don't like kids. So, I don't think this is a book for me, but it doesn't sound like it's just a generally bad book. But yeah, that exists. It's a book. I think that I get the value of this book box with just the books in the book box, not including all of the other gifts. But cool, cool. We'll come back with day 8. Yeah, day 8 tomorrow. All right, we're at day 8 and the most underwhelming looking of all of the gifts. Day 8's story is called Little Treasures by Juliet Madison, and a young woman has gone back to her hometown in Australia to attend her grandmother's funeral. And it's not really about the funeral, it's more about she goes on a scavenger hunt that the local bookstore puts on It just is something to do while she's back home for a week. And the prize for the scavenger hunt is a coaster, so I'm guessing this is a coaster, but I've never just had like a single coaster. I've always had like a set, so I'm not really sure what to make of this one. If this is just a single tiny little coaster, then it's pretty underwhelming day. Yeah, it's a single coaster. It's kind of a sad little coaster. It also has the cover of Little Women on it, which it did have the cover of Little Women on it in the book too. But even then, it's just like, you can barely see it. I don't even know. I guess it looks better in the light there. But yeah, it's the it's a coaster that's the cover of Little Women. It is like a really thin, like, hold on, I got like a really decent coaster here. So this is the coaster that I have, which is nice. Like, it's, I guess they're about the same size that way, but you can see like how much thinner that is. But yeah, I mean, probably the most disappointing thing we've gotten so far, but not the end of the world. I'm used to getting a lot of disappointing things in book boxes, so this isn't the worst thing in the world, but I'm not exactly thrilled about this one. So let's come back and see what we get tomorrow. Alright, it's day 9, and in this story, this should be a really short synopsis. The story, these sisters run an inn, or own an inn, and it's snowed in a blizzard, and she is kind of bored because there's nothing to do, but she's stuck at work because of the blizzard, and she decides to clean out like a hall closet, and that's when you get the gift thing. And I think this is a steering wheel cover. Honestly, I don't own a car. So yeah, and I was right. It's a steering wheel cover. So you get a bookish steering wheel cover. I don't know what this says. Yeah. Oh god, it smells really bad. It's a steering wheel cover, which is super not useful to me since I don't own a car. So there you go. Day 9 is over and done quickly. See you tomorrow. So day 10's a weird one because the opening line of the chapter tells you to open your gift, or the short story. So I won't be able to tell you what this short story is about because I'm opening the gift literally on the first line. But this is called Love Overdue by Wendy Walthrop, and it says, "To the girl who sits behind the circulation desk and reads when she thinks no one is looking. I blew out a breath and watched it fog in the frosty air. Who leaves a note in a book? They're returning to the library." So obviously it has something to do with the library, and this is gonna be a book. Which this is by far, I mean, the books are the ones that are easy to guess because like the packaging is obvious. This is a paperback, I can feel it, and this is the last book we're getting. The last 2 days obviously do not have books in them. So what book are we getting? Oh no. Oh, there you go. Open on page 171 as soon as she unfolds the note. Oh, that's cool. So I need to open this when I hit page 171. But this is The Girl You Left Behind by Jojo Moyes, which means it's just going to be sad. Because all Jojo Moyes books are sad. I hope this doesn't have anything to do with Me Before You. No, this is a historical, I don't know if it's a romance, but it's historical fiction. France, 1916, Sophie
must keep her family safe while her adored husband Edward fights at the front. When their town falls to the Germans in the midst of World War I, she is forced to serve them every evening at her hotel. From a moment of the new commandant sets eyes on Sophie's portrait, painted by her artist husband, a dangerous obsession is born, one that will lead Sophie to make a dark and terrible decision. Almost a century later, Sophie's portrait hangs in the home of Liv Halston, a wedding gift from her young husband before his sudden death. After a chance encounter reveals the portrait's true worth, a battle begins over its troubled history. As the layers of this painting's shadowy past are revealed, Liv's world is turned upside down all over again, and her belief in what is right is put to the ultimate test. So, okay, this maybe not is a historical, it may be like past and future historical romance type. Not really my cup of tea type of books, and I'm not a huge fan. Actually, I shouldn't say. I've read some books that I really like by Jojo Moyes, and I've read some books that I really don't like by Jojo Moyes, so maybe. And then I guess I'll come back in a second when I get to page 171 and unfold this note and see what that's all about. So 171 is literally the next page, and the note to open on 171 says, "To the girl who sits behind the circulation desk and reads when she thinks no one is looking. I am, but not in a creepy way. I always wonder what exactly could captivate you so much that you sometimes seem to forget where you are. I think about what world you might be exploring, and I wish that I could join you. I hope that didn't sound too stalkerish. I just really love reading too, and I think it's great that you found a job where you get to be surrounded by books. If you ever read this, maybe one day you could tell me which book made you laugh out loud last Tuesday, but I guess that will never happen because you have no idea who I am, and that probably won't change anytime soon. Sincerely, someone who loves books and loves that you love books too." That's cute. It is kind of creepy, but at least it's like knowingly creepy. Like the guy knows he sounds creepy. But yeah, in one whole page of this short story, it seems to be about a girl who works at a library, and that's all I got for you for this one. See you tomorrow for day 11. Hello, we are on day 11. I'm cold, so I've got a burrito blanket on. Day 11 is The Right Path by Krista Halley, and this is a story about a girl who lets her boss kind of take advantage of her. She's an event planner, and her boss was supposed to be planning an event, and like the day of the event, her boss was just like, yeah, I'm not showing up, I'm not doing it. And the other associates call her to do it because she's like the second most senior, and it's a big event. And she's supposed to be going on a camping trip that weekend with her boyfriend. And then she cancels on her boyfriend. He kind of like obviously gets pissed because she apparently does this a lot. She goes and saves the event, and then her boss takes all the credit for it on Monday. So she's basically like in this argument with her boyfriend that she lets her boss walk all over her and her job control her life, and she's miserable and hates everything, but won't do anything about it, and she keeps like ruining the only good thing she has in her life, which is this relationship, for a company that doesn't care about her, which, I mean, fair. As far as this, I have no fucking idea for the first day of all of these where I couldn't just like straight up guess, because the gift that he gives her in the story when you're supposed to open this is a diamond engagement ring, and I don't think this is a diamond engagement ring. So let's see what it is. Right, we have another package. I don't know what this is. I'm gonna continue to be entirely baffled. Oh god, it folds out. Oh, it's a chair. I think. Is it a chair? I don't know what this is. Like, I legitimately don't know what this, I mean, I guess you could use it for like a stand and then stack a bunch of books on top of it. I don't think that would support my weight. I don't really know what that is. There's another thing in here. But yeah, I'm really confused because that sure as shit isn't a diamond engagement ring. Oh, we have a ring box though. So maybe we do have a diamond engagement ring? We do. I'm being proposed to in the worst possible way. With a kind of a cheap ring going on here. But we do get a ring. There you go. This is a very, very small ring because it fits on my fingers. I did have to like press it together a little bit and it's really loose. But I have a size 4 ring, but it is adjustable because you can like press it together. It's plastic. It's not, there's nothing real. Like it's not even metal, it's just plastic. But it's kind of cute. I don't hate it. I still don't know what this is. But it's a thing that I have that makes absolutely no sense in the context of this story. But there you go. I will see you for day 12 and we'll see what the last gift is. All right, day 12. We are done. Day 12 story is called The Promise by Hazel Pryor. And this is about like a grumpy old man, I guess. He had just lost his wife and he's dealing with a lot of depression from the loss of his wife. He lives by himself, kind of like in the middle of nowhere, and he has 2 sons. One of his sons is dating a woman who has 2 children from like a previous relationship, and that son, the woman, and the 2 kids come up to visit Magnus, who's the old man, and he doesn't want them there. He doesn't want to deal with kids. He thinks his son doesn't take relationships seriously, and that by the time they even get there later that week, he's going to have broken up with the girl and whatever. But the kids and the lady and his son show up, and they're kind of like walking around in the snow time, and they find a hare in a trap, and they rescue it because it's not quite dead, but it's very injured. And the kids kind of like want to read to the rabbit and help heal it, and they stay on a couple days, but the rabbit's obviously not healed, and they ask the old man to read to the rabbit to help it recover because, you know, children's things. It turns out the old man never learned how to read, and he progresses through the story learning to read children's books that the children left to read to the rabbit, and he learns to read as the rabbit heals. Or it's a hare, not a rabbit. There's apparently a big difference according to the story. And then by the end, the rabbit is healed, and he invites the children back to release the rabbit, but his son has broken up, or his son shows up alone and says he broke up with the girl because he's an irresponsible twat, and she got mad at him for leaving. Like, he was supposed to pick up the kids from someplace and he forgot about it. That's a big deal, by the way. And so the old man, with his newfound reading skills, writes a letter and invites the lady and her children up, at least so the children can help release the hare, and then they release the animal, and then his son and the lady get back together, and it's a happily ever after ending. and like at the very end of the story it tells you to open this. This one I do know what it is from the story context, and it's a blanket, but it's like a really thin blanket. We're gonna have to adjust the camera a little bit. So you have a blanket, which is the story. It's a page of a book, page 4. I think this is Alice in Wonderland because I can see a rabbit in the bottom. It is a very, very thin blanket that is page 4 of Alice in Wonderland, and like it's like, I guess you can't really see through it. Like I can see through it this way, but the light's coming through, but it's a very, very thin blanket, but it's a blanket. It's kind of cool. It's a page out of Alice in Wonderland that's kind of cool. It's got a giant fuzz that just came off of it, which is not kind of cool. But yeah, that's all 12 days. Kind of cool. Interesting that none of these were really Christmas stories. I was expecting all of these to be short Christmas stories. The stuff we got was mostly interesting. There was a couple of things that it was just like, oh, that doesn't really work for me. The only thing that was like honestly just straight up like, what is this? Like super disappointing was the coaster. I've never heard of just having one coaster, like a set of coasters, but like one coaster. I was like, not super thrilled with this. But out of 12 days, only having one thing that I was like not super thrilled with, and only probably 2 or 3 things that I just have like absolutely no use for. Like the only thing I can think of off the top of my head, because obviously it's been a couple of days, was the steering wheel cover. Like I don't have a car, so I'm really gonna have absolutely no use for that. But I think there was something else that I was very mediocre about. But yeah, overall that's really cool book. Really totally worth the price of this advent calendar. And I'm definitely, if they have this next year, I'm 100% definitely going to do this advent calendar again next year. So thank you for joining me in this long unboxing, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!